Hung in there defensively again in the first half when we weren't playing great offense. And that's what you have to do, and then eventually we kind of wore them down a little bit. They don't have a big bench, and we played more people than them, which really helped us.
Keith, especially this time of year, what's the value of having a bench that you can count on to do some things for you?
Well, think about it. We had Chavi's out, all right. Dixon gets hurt in the game. Reese has foul trouble, and Trey Williams has 2 fouls at halftime too. So I'm thinking but we still have Rotroff, and then we have RJ Gunn, so we still had enough pieces to play really. Whereas most people couldn't have survived that. So, and then McGriff, I've said it all along. McGriff's a key guy for us because he's a very skilled player. So he gives you another passer, another shooter out there. And if he can play at a high level, that allows me to rest Day and Trey Clark, because we're giving Tevin plenty of rest with Kareem. So it allows me a little more flexibility. So McGriff's a key. When we weren't playing very well, McGriff was out those 3 games. So to me, regardless of what the numbers say, he's a guy that you have to guard on a consistent basis because he can put the ball in the basket.
Keith, I know you value all victories, but when you're 4-0 in February, the tournament's right around the corner. Are you playing well at the best time of the year?
I just want this to sound right, but we can play better than that. I mean, we're better defensively. The first half we were really good defensively, not very good the second half. We couldn't keep them from getting to the rim. We made a lot of mistakes. We turned the ball over more than we usually do tonight. Just unforced. But we have a good team. We have capabilities of playing at a high level. And if we shoot the ball at a high level, we're capable of beating anybody. And if we don't, we're capable of losing to anybody.
How did these guys all come together so well when you have so many new faces in the roster?
Well, I think the first and foremost, they're good people. I know a lot of you guys have been around them, and then we have really good leadership. Not from me, from them. And I think they want to win, so they're willing to sacrifice to win. But I just think it takes a couple guys to get a couple guys off the fence that go all in, and I think that's what's happened. Is we decided to go all in.
What kind of sacrifices do these guys make on a daily basis?
I mean, they're splitting minutes, a lot of them, like guys like Rotroff, Reese, Trey Williams, RJ doesn't start. McGriff was a second-team All-American in junior college. I think Day-Day's really tried harder defensively. I think he had a great night defensively tonight, but he's been better. And then, Brewer's willing to let Kareem play, and Kareem doesn't care how many he gets. So I think they're all making sacrifices.
When you put them together, I guess, back in August or September, did you see a team that was going to make a run toward the top of the conference?
That's a great question. I didn't think we played good enough defensively, for the first part of the season to make a run at it, but I think we're capable of it now. The question is my team at Akron, we were in 7 straight championship games in that league, and 9 out of 13 years. This team's never been there, so that's probably the biggest hurdle that we face is we've never been there. But sometimes that's good too, because they probably just go out there and play and not worry about anything. They certainly nobody really thinks they're going to win it. Even right now, right? Nobody thinks that they're, capable of, taking the whole prize.
What was the game plan when it came to guarding Lynn Greer? And what sort of went wrong in the second half that allowed him to score 16 of his 22 total points?
We did a good job with him the first time. He just got downhill on us, and we did a bad job sometimes they were setting screens with the guards, and sometimes they were ghosting screens, which means you're acting like you're gonna screen, but you don't. And we didn't do a very good job with it. And part of it is we were playing Reynolds, no catch. So when he set the ball screen, we couldn't really get to it. And so I don't know whether it was tactical or we did a poor job of communicating, and then he creates a lot of contact, man. Like, if you look, he gets a lot of free throws. What, he shoot 12 of them tonight, he's been shooting 1 million of them. He's played a lot better for him. I'm a little disappointed how that went, but we shut off some of their other guys, which helped us, and we turned them over 11 times in the first half. I thought we were a little tired in the second half.
Keith?
Oh,
Go ahead, please.
Could you just tell me what the pregame warm-up shirt was all about, the black shirt that said togetherness on the front?
Well, it's Black History Month, so that's what it's about, and that's what this pin's about, Again, they chose the word, so it's their team, I just organize it. So.
Coach, Tevin Brewer, 16 points tonight. I was just noted by Tyler that he leads the A10 in assist to turnover ratio. And you mentioned before with Rozier in non-conference, those stats, but how big has his decision making, whether to be a scorer or facilitator, been for you?
So I feel like, Tevin's had a tough year from the perspective as he hasn't really been healthy most of the year, and he's been playing catch up most of the year. And what I mean by that is, he had so many different things that he never got in great physical condition because of that. And trying to play yourself into great physical condition is hard too, because you're beat up. You can only do so much. So I think he's a really good player all the way around. I think he's a great teammate. He'll do whatever it takes to win. I think he's a really smart player. He's a tough kid, good person. So I feel bad that he hasn't had the type of year that he really wanted to have, but it's all based on, how he started with that appendectomy, and then he had the other issue with the shoulder, which really cramped his shooting ability. He's a good shooter now. People are playing Russian roulette when they go under him on the ball screen, because he's a really good shooter. And then we're trying to get Trey Clark on the ball more so that Tevin can stand there and shoot it some, because he's one of the better shooters we have.
Keith, it's probably similar to one of Jerry's questions, but what about your play on court has allowed you to have a sustained success throughout the season?
Say that again.
What about your play on court, about the way you play, has allowed you to have sustained success this year?
Well, I think we're pretty diversified. I think we pass the ball well. I think we can play fast and we can play slow. We're particularly good when we play fast, but you got to get stops to play fast most of the time. I think we've improved a little bit on the inside, where we can score a little bit on the inside as well, and we're passing better out of the post-ups than we were earlier in the year. So I would say that the biggest thing we have over most of the teams in the league is we have better depth, and we have a good skill set. Like, we have some skilled guys, and we can shoot it at multiple spots, which, you think about it, let's just say that we can get Reese shooting the ball really well by tournament time from the perimeter, and we can get RJ rolling again like he was earlier in the year. Now we become really difficult to guard. People don't realize this, but VCU, when they went to the Final Four, they finished 5th in that league. They didn't even think they were getting in the tournament, and they shot an unbelievable percentage in the NCAA tournament and went to the Final Four. So that's what's funny about the game. Like, you have to have enough ability, but you have to just play well when it matters.
Does your ball pressure work well in those tournament settings as well?
I think our ball pressure is pretty good. I think we got the best stealer in the world. Like, that guy's unbelievable now. He doesn't even get credit for half of the ones that he gets, because he's getting his hands on 1 million of them, But he's a unique guy. Like, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 4,000 steals, 10,000 deflections. You know, it's a pretty good performance. And he could play way better than that. He was sloppy with the ball today. But that's on us. We have to keep developing him. He's got, athletically, he's a gifted guy.
Keith, there's a little bit of talking here about the upcoming A-10 tournament, which is 3 weeks away. Some teams just want to go 1-0 every night. They don't think about a tournament to the eve of the first game. Is that a healthy thing to think that far ahead?
It's a really good point, Jerry. Like, do you really believe all that stuff that coaches say where they say, I'm only thinking about the next game or that's so much BS, right? Am I right? Like, let's keep it real. Like, you don't think people are planning long term, like how to get from point A to point B? You gotta take one game at a time, right? Like, yeah, you do. You gotta make sure your team's ready to play every single night. But everybody looks ahead. You just have to play every day, every play, every day. That's really what I tell them. Every play, every day. That's practice. That's how you prehab, how you rehab. But everybody looks ahead. You don't think like Braun's thinking about playing in the playoffs? Like he's got to win some games in the regular season and play in the playoffs. But that's all those guys care about is the playoffs. So I could sit here and lie and say, yeah, that's the way you should approach it, one game at a time. But do you really believe that? Like, I don't. Do you really believe any coach really believes that? They're always planning for trying to win the national championship or the NCAA tournament. You have
Some
to
coaches
think
have
that.
trouble believing.
Exactly. But not me.
No comment.
Oh, wow. That wasn't very, that was
I'm
nice.
kidding. No, I believe you.
That wasn't very nice, Jerry. You hurt my feelings.
Keith, you mentioned the transition for Jimmy into being more of that, being able to free up Tevin a little bit. Just how have you kind of ingrained that into him, and how could those 9 assists tonight maybe help that belief and that behavior?
Well, him and Day-Day have really done a good job of passing the ball. Day-Day's assist numbers have really kind of ballooned in the last probably 2-3 weeks. So I just think Jimmy wants to be a good player. He spends a lot of time at it. Day-Day, all those guys do. They spend a lot of time at it. They want to be complete players. And so to be a complete player, you have to make other players better. And so I think he has that ability to get into the lane. Now, can he consistently make the right play, which he doesn't yet? He does more times than not, but not always. And so that's my job, to try to get him to make the right play every single time. But you gotta live with some of his mess. Like I said, he's unorthodox.
How was what did you like out of David in the time he played tonight, and how optimistic are you for Saturday for him?
I thought he was great. I thought he really helped us. You know, he's just so athletic. It's like Coach Drew always says. He says, one thing about Dave, when he goes in there, something's going to happen. It may not always be good, but something's going to happen. And you know, you're talking about a superior athlete. He reminds me of like one of those 800 meter runners. You know, he's just so quick twitched and lean. He's like a greyhound. You know, and he changed the game when he went in there because he can run, he can get to the rim. You know, he's all over the place, and he's just. And then how optimistic? I mean, he's got bad knee. You know, he ran a little funny today. I don't know whether there's something floating around in there, but like we need him, especially with Chabi out too. You know, and it's a shame because he's really starting to play pretty good.
Do you believe this team is built for a long run? Seems to be some depth here.
We are today. I mean, by the next game, who the hell knows? You know, we just have to be consistent. We've become a little bit more consistent than we were earlier, but we're still not. Like we had a million chances to pop that thing wide open today, right? We just missed some open threes that we have to make. So do I think so? I think we're scary. I wouldn't want to be one of those top teams to play us. I'd rather play somebody else that doesn't have as much like juice, because we can hurt you pressuring you, and we can shoot it in on you if you're not careful.
Speaking of which, there's a debate as to whether Duquesne and Fordham should be in that top tier with the preseason favorites, Dayton, BC, and St. Louis. You guys are 1-1 against them. Road game against St. Louis. Is there added importance to this game coming up this weekend, not only from a standings perspective, but sort of the feel like you guys actually can compete when it comes to March for a title?
I don't have any doubt we can compete, so I don't feel any pressure that way. I just want to get one of those top 4 buys. Because if you want to win the tournament, that's the easiest way to get it is to. Now, we have enough depth that we can do it the hard way too, whereas some people don't. So, I'm not going to put any pressure. Nobody goes into St. Louis and wins consistently. We have. We've actually done a good job with St. Louis. But all I care about is getting better every single game, every single day. And if we do that, then we'll have a shot. But I mean, we can go to St. Louis and win. I don't have any doubt about that. We just have to play a good game. But I'm not gonna put. I don't think it's gonna make or break us. I mean, it'll make us from the perspective that we can get in the top 4. But I don't think it's gonna break our mentality. I think these guys have already shown they're resilient. Like, we played some rotten games there for a stretch and they came roaring back. So I think that's a good trait that they have.
Have you ever tripled, I guess you probably have never tripled your victories from one year to another, have you?
I never had that bad a team before that I could do that. Like, maybe 3 more wins,
Well,
but
what's that say about the program?
I gotta watch my language here, Jared, but like, we were pretty bad last year and we're pretty good this year. That's all it says. And it says that our coaching staff, and I'm not even including me on this, they did an unbelievable job of retooling it, you know, with the right people and the right players. And then we've done a good job of getting them to buy into what we're trying to do. But we have good pieces. Like, we have pretty good talent. You always wish you had more in certain areas, but we're good enough to compete.
Keith, as a follow to that, earlier in the season, you said that when a coach has a down year, the good coaches are able to bounce back. Maybe looking at it now, just how does that maybe echo this staff and, like you said, the last answer, what you all have been able to do from the off season into finding ways this year?
So I don't need any I don't need any outside motivation. That's not really how I'm built, right? Like them picking us last or any of that, like that doesn't, I'm gonna motivate myself because I wanna be great. So I guess probably because I was such a bad athlete, whatever, but I don't need any, but it irritated me. I mean, you know, if somebody else had that kind of year, I don't know if they would have picked them last. So people probably thought I stunk, or I lost it, right? I can't coach anymore. So all that did was just reinvigorate me into working like I did when I was 25. So, but the main reason you win is because you have pretty good players. So the staff did a good job of bringing in good players and good people. And that's why we win. There's a lot of teams that have good talent that don't win because they refuse to play together. That's the interesting thing about Day Gray, and he's really done an unbelievable job of just caring about winning. They all want to win. A lot of them haven't won, right? Like, they just want to win. If you want to win and you have reasonably good ability, you have a chance. What else you got, Zach?
Good.
I have a question. Just looking at the all-defensive team, there are guys like Ace Baldwin and Daron Holmes that are probably solidified to be in there, but you have 2 guys in Clark and Williams who can make a case. I wouldn't say if you had to pick one to make there only one, but is there a strong case that Duquesne should have 2 first-team all-defensive players this season?
It's funny, you got to stop thinking like me. So if a guy is leads the league in steals, right? And he's 9th in the country in steals, right? And 10th in average steals per game. And he's not on the first team, all defensive team, then there's something wrong. But I don't think he's a lock just because we're Duquesne. And Dave and I have talked about this. I don't think he's a lock. And I'm gonna be mad if he isn't on there. That I'll take that personally. And then what the second point is Trey Williams, you know, is, I don't know, what's he, first in the league in blocks? In conference games? How many, do you have any today? They had one today. I mean, arguably, you could say he's, since we moved him back to the inside, he's one of the better defenders in there. So, will we get 2? Hell no. Will we get 1? 50-50. But if a guy's in the top 10 in the country and steals and he doesn't make the all defensive team, then I got to throw my hands up. But we had a guy lead the league in blocks and he wasn't on an all defensive team, which that very rarely happens, right? So I don't think it's a lot.
Do you coach with a chip on your shoulder, and do your players play with a chip on their shoulder because of the past here?
Look, I'm nuts, so yeah, I probably do. I mean, I've done it my whole life. Just try to be, just try to be better than what people think. It's not good for your health, but it helps you win games. I mean, I think because I wasn't a very good athlete, I try to analyze why I'm as nutty as I am. It's got to be that. I mean, everybody that's good though has a chip on their shoulder, I think.